Northeast 8, I know it's a cross-conference game. Obviously, Angola is in the NECC, but this is a game that really intrigues me. I talked a lot about Angola last week, and they came out and played pretty well against DeKalb. At DeKalb, put up 30 points on them. They're at Leo, who I was impressed with Leo's performance. I don't know a whole lot about South Bend Riley. I do know that for your first Friday night of the season, traveling all the way over there, that can be tough to overcome. A.J. Restivo throws for 267 yards. Trenton Bonner had like 151 yards. They look pretty good right from the get-go. Yeah,
and I think it's a tremendous challenge for both teams. I think that was one of the many things you hit on right last week, is talking about Angola and knocking off DeKalb in relatively easy fashion.
Might be the only thing I hit on correctly last week, but
cue up that tape, right?
Where I said Carroll's going to take care of business, right? Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's a big challenge for Angola, because you look, maybe did they challenge in the upper half of the big school division in the NECC? Are they the biggest threat to Garrett in that division? So that's going to be huge. And Leo, we think they're at the top of that conference. Is New Haven better than we thought, maybe? They beat up on Heritage last week, but we're really not sure how more improved Heritage is. So we're still trying to figure out that alignment of those top three teams in the NE8. So a big challenge for Leo as they try to put it together before entering conference play.
Yeah, you mentioned trying to figure out that picture. I'm not sure that we have much clarity after week one, because, again, you know, Heritage is on the way up with Nico Tagulis in his second year, but I'm not sure that they had the athletes out there to compete with what New Haven had. You saw Owens filling in for Nishan Jones. He goes for a $154, and he played like not even 2 quarters, 3 touchdowns. He was fantastic. I mean, they just keep plugging and playing him out of New Haven.
Yeah, we knew they were going to have talent to replace the guys they lost. We just didn't know if it was going to be the quality of a Keyshawn Moore and Nishan Jones at quarterback and running back. Now, I think they're a question still at quarterback consistently through a 9-game season. Can he make enough plays with the vertical passing game to win a fair amount of games? I think running back's in good hands. I think we can all agree that. And that defense is still very, very difficult. But when you look at how they match up with East Noble, how they match up with Leo, we just don't know yet.
Yeah, and I think, you know, New Haven's offensive line is pretty good and veteran. So I think it buys them some time, specifically early in the season where, you know, Sexton gets his feet under him. He made some good throws. I can just go by, you know, what we saw in the highlights, but he made some good throws. And having, you know, Kentrell Thomas out there, receiver James Gardner, that doesn't hurt either.
Doesn't hurt, yeah. And you mentioned it. You get Luke Watson up front. You have Jeffrey Johnson up front, 2 big guys up front, veteran guys on that offensive line. Makes things easy for you.
And they actually have an interesting game this week because they're traveling to Mississinawa. You know, Mississinawa, before they got whipped on by Dwenger in the postseason last year, they were undefeated. So it's kind of a long trip. It's kind of a team that you don't know a whole lot about in terms of you don't play them every year. So that's a matchup I'm actually pretty intrigued about this week.
Yeah, and they have a really good running back that if I would have done my research, I could actually name him right now.
Old running back.
But he's very good. I don't remember his name, and it's like kind of a snazzy name too. But
well, we should.
Whatever. We'll talk about it next week.
We'll look it up. We'll just have you say the whole alphabet, and then we'll edit it together.
I don't have my phone. I can't even look it up right now to sound smart. But.
Another game from the Northeast State, and this is a team that I know East Noble wants to beat, is Warsaw, because Warsaw, obviously, you're coming off a loss if you're East Noble, kind of a little bit of a shocking loss. I mean, Plymouth is a pretty solid program, and it's a difficult trip to make, but I think if you're East Noble, you thought you could win that one out of the gate. And they're hosting a Warsaw team that beat Columbia City last week, but you know, year in and year out, pretty solid football program. So this is a big week, I think, for East Noble. You don't want to go into conference play 0-2.
Absolutely. You needed some momentum going into that NE8 conference schedule. So big game, I think, for East Noble. Playing a Warsaw team, always a solid team, not spectacular, but you know with a 6A school, they're going to have bodies and they're going to be ready to play. So a little disappointing with the start for East Noble. It was a better start than a year ago when they hosted Cathedral.
Well,
so I guess you can look at it like that. You probably had a more productive
You're more
evening.
Healthy, too, I would guess.
Definitely.
A little physical.
But Luke Amstutz will say an L is an L, so we're still 0-1 just like last year. They need to rebound. They don't want to be, like you said, don't want to be 0-2 going to the conference.
And I think one of the big keys is stopping Warsaw's running game. They had 2 guys run for over 130 yards last week against Columbia City. And you're going to face some good offenses like New Haven, like Leo in the Northeast State. So this is kind of a good tune-up for them, specifically for that defense, which does have some new guys that are stepping into bigger roles on Friday night.
Yeah, and not to take it away from any of the other games for East Noble in the conference, but look, you have Warsaw and probably 2 other games, Leo and New Haven, to get you ready for sectionals, because 4A in this area is an absolute grind. That sectional is loaded. You have Northwood, who's number 1 right now, sitting at that potential regional game. So when you're looking at teams that are going to challenge you to get you ready for sectionals, you only have 3 of them pretty much on paper as we look at it. So
Right.
obviously you need to play those games against Belmont and Columbia City and DeKalb, but you will be favored in those games. So in terms of similar tests for you, you have like maybe 3 of them if you're East Noble left.